10 months after my wife died, she knocked on my door. I know how that sounds. I'm not asking you to believe it yet. I'm just telling you what happened. But to understand any of it, you need to know about January 14th, 2012, and a man in a Ford who decided that drinking and driving was a fine idea that afternoon. It was a Saturday. Jules had gone to the grocery store for a few things. I was home, sorting through the balcony. No garage, so it had become the place where useless things waited. While I moved broken ski poles from one side to the other, that man was driving along the main boulevard, taking pulls from a bottle. During one of them, the car hit a pothole. The liquor went down wrong. He choked, looked back at the road 4 seconds later, and saw brake lights rushing toward him. He yanked the wheel. A ton of metal at 45 miles per hour hit a group of people crossing the street. My wife suffered internal injuries incompatible with life. She died within 5 minutes. I don't remember much after that. Fragments over the cooling body of the person I loved most. Then hitting that man. 2 or 3 punches before the officers pulled me off. I wasn't threatening him. I just cried, knowing nothing I could do would bring her back. After that, I went quiet, mechanical, empty. 10 months passed. The intercom buzzed. I never answer it when I'm not expecting anyone. The buzzing was persistent, then stopped. I thought about the internet bill. End of the month was coming, and then someone knocked on the actual door. I don't answer unexpected knocks either. I checked the bathroom and the water closet out of habit, making sure I hadn't flooded the neighbors below. Nothing. I sat down at the computer. The knocking came again. It went on for 5 minutes. I gave up, walked to the door, and looked through the peephole. What I saw made me blink and rub my temples and look again. The person outside didn't notice me watching and reached for the bell a second time. I opened the door. The hallway walls shot upward. The floor came up fast. Then, darkness. I came to on the couch, covered with a blanket, a cold, damp cloth on my forehead. It took me a moment to orient myself. Then I was on my feet and in the hallway in 2 steps. The front door was closed. The rug was shifted, like something heavy had been dragged across it and then pushed back carelessly. I stood still and looked. The hallway, the passage to the kitchen. Nothing unusual, just the rain outside. I took a step into the living room and felt cold water on my bare foot. The rug had absorbed most of it, but the bare linoleum held wet footprints. Someone had come in from outside, soaking wet, and stood here. I walked into the living room. A woman was lying on the couch. Simple black dress, bare feet, light brown hair to her shoulders, still dripping onto the floor. An almost normal sight, except that it was my wife, and I knew with certainty that she had died 10 months ago. I'm not brave. I've never pretended to be. But I've noticed that in genuine emergencies, something clarifies in me, like the brain shifts into a higher gear under the pressure of immediate danger. That happened now. I studied her carefully. Her face was exact. Her chest wasn't moving, or moving too finely for me to detect. She lay on her side, staring at a fixed point, one arm resting on the cushion, the other hanging, fingers just short of the floor. No decomposition, no discoloration, no broken limbs, no bite marks, no stitching. Her skin was paler than usual, the pallor of illness, not death. Except for her feet, which were almost black with dirt, as if I decided to think of her as she, had walked several miles on pavement without shoes. I had no theory for how she had gotten here, so I did the most obvious thing. "Hey," I said. "Who are you?" Silence. No indication she'd heard me. I crouched down and shook her shoulder. Cold, but yielding, like living flesh. Nothing. I shook her again. "Hello? Who are you? How did you get in here?" Her eyes moved toward me. I stepped back and clipped the TV stand with my heel. The eyes stayed on me. The rest of her was perfectly still. "Okay," I said. "You're apparently alive. Let's try again. Who are you?" Her mouth opened. What came out wasn't words, more like strong exhalations, her torso jerking slightly, as if her lungs were trying to remember how to function. Thunder cracked outside, loud enough to set off car alarms in the street. I barely noticed. I found a pen and put it in her right hand. It fell to the floor. "Fine, don't talk. It's okay." 2 more ragged exhales. "Can you sit up? Let me help." I lifted her with some reluctance. She was cold through the fabric, and propped her against the back of the couch. Her eyes, empty of expression, stayed on me. "Do you understand me? Can you nod if you understand?" Several seconds passed. Then her head dipped forward. "Do you remember how you got here?" A nod. "Do you know who you are?" Another nod. Mechanical. Horrible. "Are you?" My voice caught. "Are you Jules? Is that you?" I didn't want an answer. I wanted nothing to happen. I wanted the thing on the couch to stare at me blankly and give me nothing. It nodded. Something broke open. I started screaming at my dead wife, mostly one question, over and over. "What do you want?" And got no answer. I wanted her to do something, anything, make a sound, disappear, lunge at me. Anything but that flat glass stare and the silence pressing down on the room. A few minutes was enough to empty me out. I sat on the floor across from the couch, pulled my knees to my chest, and stayed there for an hour. She didn't move, which was strange, because before I'd come to, she had dragged me to the other couch and covered me with a blanket. I made tea. When I came back, she had returned to lying down. I tried asking her simple questions for a while. Got nothing. The rain stopped. Darkness settled over the city. I didn't want to sleep in the same apartment as something that had come back from the dead. I couldn't leave either. Calling someone, my parents, anyone, seemed wrong. If only I could see her. I was losing my mind. If she was real, I didn't want to put anyone else in danger. I spent the night in the next room, lights on full, dozing in half-hour stretches, checking on her every few hours. Once, during the night, she slowly lowered her arm off the couch. I called in sick the next morning. The shock and no sleep had me shivering, with a headache that felt structural. No painkillers in the apartment. I held out until noon, then pulled on my coat, glanced at Jules lying on the couch, and walked to the pharmacy across the street. 10 minutes. When I got back, she hadn't moved. What struck me on the way? Almost no one outside. Our neighborhood is quiet, but the main boulevard is usually busy, even midday. I saw a few distant figures. The pharmacy had 1 staff member instead of the usual 3. I put it down to the headache and checked the fridge. Enough food for several days. I took a pill and started thinking. Solaris came to mind. Stanislav Lem's novel. I almost laughed at myself. Had I stumbled into the same story as the protagonist? Was Jules just a shell generated by something that had read my memories? I thought about driving to the cemetery. What would I find? An empty plot? A disturbed grave? I set that aside and ran some tests first. Flashlight in her eyes. No pupil response. Needle to the inner forearm. No blood. Thermometer. 72 degrees Fahrenheit, room temperature. No heartbeat, no breath. A corpse by every measure. A corpse that had nodded. I was in the kitchen cutting bread when something hit the front door. Not a knock, an impact. Something soft but heavy, like a fist with full body weight behind it. The sound rang through the apartment. Then, from the room where Jules was, a rustling. I got there in time to see her crawling on all fours toward the far corner, the corner farthest from the front door. She pressed herself into the wall and started making sounds with her mouth again, the grinding, scraping sounds. The impact came again, harder. I looked through the peephole. The landing was empty. I checked the locks and went back to her. Her chest was heaving like something small and furious was trapped inside it. Her lips and tongue, for the first time, pushed air into something approaching a syllable. Shh. But what stopped me was her expression. For the first time since she'd arrived, her face held something other than blankness. It held terror. Nothing more came that evening. I say nothing. I genuinely don't know what was on the other side of that door. Maybe no one is the wrong word too. By midnight, her face had gone blank again, arms limp. I decided to leave her in the corner and went to the kitchen when the microwave beeped. Strangely, I adapted quickly. Maybe because having her nearby, even like this, felt like the ghost of the life we'd had. By evening, I was watching TV, browsing the internet, acting almost normal. I pulled a mattress onto the floor near her and slept there. Before I went under, I found myself wondering when the body would begin to change, and what I would do in a few days if it kept sitting there, occasionally pushing half sounds through dead lips. I woke to the knocking again. Not knocking, hammering. The door shook in the frame, impact after impact, fast and rhythmic as a jackhammer. Jules was wide-eyed in the corner again, no longer trying to speak, just making a low rasp. I looked through the peephole. Empty landing. I found the hatchet I keep for splitting wood and stood in the hallway for 20 minutes. Eventually, it stopped. I went back to sleep. It didn't come back that night. Morning. She was still in the corner. I showered, made breakfast. Dense fog outside. So thick, it looked like the building ended 2 floors down. I tried to organize my thinking. What came back to life in Jules's body? No theory, no data. Maybe it was random. A glitch in whatever system processes human souls after death. Why else return her to me like this? The hammering. That one I felt clearer about. If there's a working system, there's someone maintaining it. And those workers had come for Jules. The fog, the isolation, their doing. I was fairly sure that if I jumped from the window, nothing would happen to me. I'd land on the ground floor, or reappear in the apartment. Whatever they weren't here for me. And a standard interior door was apparently enough to stop them. Not infinitely powerful then. Or maybe there were rules I didn't know about. The way vampires, in the old stories, can't enter a home uninvited. The thought came to me, briefly, shamefully, of leaving Jules in the hallway and unlocking the door. I couldn't. I wasn't there when she died. I'm not leaving her a second time. Even now, with almost nothing left of her, just a body and dim sparks of something that might be consciousness. It doesn't matter. Part of this is for me anyway, to quiet the grief, the self-pity, the hatred I'd been carrying since January. The lights went out around midday. Refrigerator stopped. No electricity in the whole building, maybe further. I picked up the landline. Silence. Cell phone. No signal. Internet was already gone. Cold fear moved from my stomach to my throat. I opened the kitchen tap. Nothing. I went to the window and opened it. Damp air, fog, muffled silence, like the city had been wrapped in cloth. I called out into it. The sound fell flat. From the other room, Jules made a sound, her chest heaving, trying to form something with her mouth. Then the hammering started again. I don't know why I'm still writing. I'm running out of options. Hard to occupy yourself without power in an apartment. There's an attractive young woman nearby, but intimacy is the last thing on my mind, for reasons I suspect you understand. It's been about 2 days since they cut everything off. I've slept a few hours total. The hammering has been nearly continuous, monotonous enough that I've started to stop hearing it. Here's what I think is happening. Something brought Jules back. I have no theory for that part. Maybe there was no intention behind it. A clerical error in whatever system manages what comes next after death. The hammering is the correction. The workers who maintain the system came to retrieve what got out. The fog, the dead phones, the dead water. Their setup. I'm fairly certain the door is the only reason they haven't taken her yet. Some rule I'm not aware of. Something about thresholds. I've made my decision. I'm going to meet whatever is out there. I'm putting these pages under the laptop so they don't blow around. Jules is still in her corner. Her expression, if I had to name it, is resignation. Maybe I'm projecting. I'm taking the hatchet. I'm opening the door. The following is a summary prepared by the 4th Precinct, filed October 25th, 2012. Officers responded to the address on October 23rd, 2012, after neighbors reported that the apartment door had been standing open since morning, with no signs of occupancy. Upon arrival, officers found no evidence of forced entry from outside. The door appeared to have been opened from within. Notable items: a small hatchet on the hallway floor. Based on the cut pattern in the linoleum, the hatchet had fallen from approximately 3 feet and had not been moved afterward. Food and partial meals were found in the kitchen and refrigerator, indicating occupancy within the previous 2 to 3 days. This was corroborated by forensic analysis of unflushed material in the toilet. The toilet tank was full. No blood, no signs of struggle. Valuables present, including approximately $600 cash and all electronics. The registered occupant, male, 29, had lost his wife in a traffic accident in January 2012. Neighbors described him as quiet and withdrawn since her death. He was entered into the missing persons database the same day. A handwritten document was found on the living room table, held in place by a laptop computer. It was reviewed by department consultants and informally attributed to acute psychological distress. It was not entered into evidence. As of May 2013, the occupant remains listed as missing.